I said a long time ago that I was going to do a review of this watch, which is the jewel of my watch collection. My girlfriend gave me this for my 40th birthday, and no matter what happens with her and I, this will be one that I never get rid of. This just never in my wildest dreams did I ever imagine owning a watch this nice. And yeah, sometimes I just find myself staring at it. It's probably what I wear more than anything else. I'd say it's maybe a close tie between this and my Citizen Aqualand, and these two watches could not be more different. But yeah, this is just an absolute beauty, and it's an absolute nuts kind of watch. When she bought it, it was already vintage, I guess you could say, the early 2000s. It was in mint condition and had never been worn. I believe it came from Japan, or maybe I'm getting that mixed up with some other watch that her or I have. But yeah, it had never been worn. Maybe it was sitting, in someone's safe. Maybe it was sitting, in a display case somewhere. Who knows? But it was in absolutely gorgeous condition, and that was about 1 year ago. And you can see already on this bracelet, maybe you can't see. I can never really tell what is and isn't in focus when I'm shooting one of these, so I apologize. Sometimes stuff's out of focus. But yeah, the bracelet has a lot of scratches on it because I wear it every single day. I told myself whenever she gave it to me, I wasn't going to baby it. I wasn't going to, be afraid to use it, because every time I look down, I think of her. And that's kind of a very nice thing.
That's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
So, like I said, early 2000s, the diameter on this watch is 35 millimeters, and the lug to lug, I mean, it's got these weird, what are called Vendome lugs on it. As you can see, I'm kind of, that's how it sits on the wrist. So the lug to lug is pretty much the exact same as the diameter of the watch, maybe a little bit more. I have 6-inch wrists, as I've said in previous videos, and you can see how it sits on my wrist. Let's see if I can get that in focus there. So this watch, for me, it's the most perfect fitting watch I'll probably ever find. The bracelet, everything, and there's a real weight to it. It just kind of wraps right around your wrist. As you can see, I'm not even like having to pull it tight. It just wants to drape perfectly over my wrist. It's got this wonderful date feature. It's a big date. Each one of the numbers is on a separate wheel inside the movement. And so I'm not sure how to really describe that. It's not just one date disc that's spinning around. It's two, one here and one here underneath the dial, that are kind of moving simultaneously. It's a cool feature, and I love a date on a watch. To me, without a date, you use the date on a watch more than you look at the time. At least I do. I have a general idea what time it is always, but I'm always forgetting the date. In fact, the only thing I'd say is wrong with this watch is I wish it had a day function. I don't know where they'd put it, but if it had a day date, this would be, I'd throw everything else away that I have. I wouldn't need anything else. It is a GMT, as you can see. Here's the GMT hand. And that just goes to show how much I love this watch, because I find the GMT function, complication on a watch, to be the most useless of all complications. I don't care about a GMT. I don't know why. Like, how often would you have to travel to so many different locations that you can't keep track of it in your head? Like, I'm from the East Coast. I live in Los Angeles now. I know what time it is in the East Coast. If it's 9:30 here, it's 12:30 there. I don't need a GMT for that. My sister lives in the Midwest. I don't need a GMT to know that she's a couple hours ahead. I don't know. I don't get it. It's such a strange delusion, I feel like, that a lot of men are under when it comes to GMTs. This weird travel fantasy. Save the money. If you're that obsessed with traveling, go on a trip. Don't just buy a watch that's meant for trips and really serves no function when you're on that trip. Anyway, I can go on a rant about that all the time. But I use this GMT function on this watch as a 24-hour indicator. So when I'm switching the date, maybe I haven't worn this watch in a couple days for whatever reason, and I'm not sure if it's 9:30 a.m. or p.m. when the watch finally stopped. Well, this tells me, because it's up here between the 20 and the 22, I know that it's 9:35 p.m., which makes changing the dates a much easier prospect. Another very cool thing on this watch is the crown. This is called a canteen crown, and it's absolutely wild. It screws off like, it is the most satisfying screwing on and off ever. And you screw it off, and you see it has a little micro penis crown under here. It's very cute, very sweet, very sad. But the crown always stays attached thanks to this little chain. It's just the most brilliant idea, and it's so classy. It's so old school. I don't know. Something about it just feels so like 1920s adventurer to me. I don't know. It's just wild. There's absolutely nothing about this watch that I can fault, and I'm not just saying that because she gave it to me. It really was the ultimate sign that she knows my innermost desires, because this thing is the equivalent of the Ring of Power for me. I greatly desired it from the moment I saw it, and she knew I meant it. The bracelet has this wonderful way of catching light. It's this H-link bracelet, and I just don't know. I'll put a video here of me wearing it, and I'll kind of twist my wrist around a little bit so that you guys can see just how this thing catches light. But it's wild. I don't know what you would call it. It's not quite brushed. It's not quite polished. It's not bead blasted. I have absolutely no idea how Cartier does the finishing on this particular bracelet. I just don't know. I don't know really what I'm looking at, but I've never seen steel catch light in this way. Another great thing about this watch is, and the hands all the way, the sword hands, the GMT hand, second hand, and all the indices are fully loomed. So the numbers aren't, but the indices are. Well, I shouldn't say that either. There's a little loom plot around each indice. Whatever, I'll show you a video, you guys can see. The case back is closed, which I love. Few things annoy me more than an open case back. I just think it's kind of tacky and pointless and showy and all these things. And I know a Cartier Pasha is a showy watch. I get it. No doubt about that. But it's a classy showy watch. It doesn't need to impress you. It just does. It just is impressive. A lot of you guys are going to be like, oh, I don't like it. It's fucking girly. And speaking of the fact that it's girly, I've never really been able to quite pin down who this watch was originally made for. Some places that sell this watch online, because you can find this pretty easily, it's called the Pasha C Meridian. So if you guys want to look up, this particular watch, it comes in white and it comes in black. Only the black has the big date feature. The white silver dial has, a typical 430 date placement with a cyclops. But some of the people selling it say it's unisex. Some of the people say that it's for men only. I don't know who it was originally marketed to. I can't find anything about it really, beyond just sales listings. It is a butterfly clasp. And once it is fixed, it is absolutely, except for that little Cartier mark right there, it is just an absolutely hidden clasp. It's just, let's do this here. When it's on, it's just like, who knows how this thing got attached to my wrist. It's completely invisible. It's just perfect. And it fits perfectly. I'm very lucky in that way because it doesn't have any kind of micro adjust whatsoever. But, enough links were taken out and it just happened to fit my wrist perfectly. So it was meant to be. I suddenly realized how boring, whenever guys do watch reviews on YouTube, they always put stuff around. I don't really have anything to put around, so I found this. There we go. Found a packet of Crystal Light, which, by the way, if you guys have never tried cherry pomegranate Crystal Light, you're missing out. This stuff is the shit. Yeah, here's, let's see. There it is. Boom. There's a paper clip thing. All right, now it's perfect. Yeah, guys, the Cartier Pasha C Meridian. I always rush through these things. I never have anything planned. I just start rambling and hope for the best. So anything I forgot? What haven't I said about this watch? Other than it's the kind of watch that if someone mugged me and tried to steal it, I would do something stupid and never give it up and get killed for it. Super, super thin. I forget exactly how thin, and I really mean it when I say I don't plan these reviews at all. So I forgot to take any measurements. I know it's 35 diameter off the top of my head, but I don't know how thick it is anymore. It's like 10 millimeters, whatever. I'll measure it and I'll put it up here on the screen. Just a cool watch. She told me when she gave it to me that we were going to have it engraved on the back so that I would, with whatever message she thought was fit. I've given her a year to think up what that message is, and I honestly think she's completely forgotten about it. So The back has no engraving on it yet, but one day I plan to get the back hand engraved. And that's just another good thing about solid case backs. Like, it's just, you know, if you go looking on eBay for old watches, especially old women's watches, you can find so many great deals on old women's watches if your girlfriend's into watches. But so many of them are engraved in just the most beautiful, deep hand engravings. And nobody does that anymore because everything has a sapphire or hard Lux case back nowadays. And yeah, it's just, it's sad. I feel like something's really missing because everybody likes to buy these watches because they think they're going to last for 100 years and they're going to pass them down, blah, blah, blah. Well, when they get passed down to the second or third generation, if they're still in your family, no one's going to know who they came from. No one's going to remember who gave it to who, when, for what occasion. The engraving, guys, the engraving is everything, which is now why I know I have to really get this thing engraved and stop dicking around with it. But anyway, I don't have anything else planned. I just wanted to show you this watch. This is my all-time favorite watch. I will never get rid of it. Don't ask me to sell it in the comments. Don't ask me any of that stuff. It's mine. It's mine!